All right. Hey guys, this is Dan from EDM Academy, and this is a brand new series called Watch Me Produce. And this is just going to be a more informal series than our other videos, where I'm basically just going to work on a song and I'm going to film myself doing it. And then along the way, I'm going to explain why I'm doing it, and I'm going to show you how I'm doing all the stuff I'm doing. And I'm hoping that I can just cover a lot of the stuff that I don't cover in our more formal videos. Just little tips, little tricks of the trade, and whatever pops up along the way. I do have an outline up here. I'm going to pull that up. And this is just a list of stuff that I want to accomplish, or stuff that I want to show you along the way. And drum processing, that's going to be what we're focusing on towards the earlier episodes. More specifically, sample selection and layering. I'm going to show you why it's important to spend a lot of time getting the right samples to begin with. And then I'm going to show you how I go about layering them after I've selected them. And then later on, we're going to go over some dynamics processing, which is, putting compressors or limiters on your drums. And then we'll cover any additional effects. And I will be doing a remix for this series, so I'm going to be doing a lot of sampling from the original song. And that entails chopping up audio clips, warping them, editing them into new and different sounds. And I'm also going to cover writing new rhythms and melodies with the existing samples. Organization is another thing I want to talk about during this series. I'm going to try to be more organized than I am even when I'm just producing by myself, for the sake of showing you why it's important to keep your workspace tidy. Sound design, I'm not entirely sure how much I'll be doing. I do have a lot to work with the stems I've been given, but I like to create a lot of background stuff and try to fill out the spectrum without just what I've been given, so we'll be covering that a little bit later. Composition, obviously, this is something I haven't really talked about at all in our other videos. I'm going to talk about how to write melodies and rhythms, why I write the melodies the way I do. I'm going to talk about creating transitions between parts of your song, and overall just making the song cohesive, making every part of the song sound like it's all the same song, not just a collection of parts. And then towards the end of the series, we're going to be talking a lot about mixing. This is another thing I haven't covered in depth with our other videos. And I do a lot of my mixing along the way, but towards the end, obviously, it will be more mixing based. So we'll be talking about that a lot towards the end. All right, so that's the outline. And I am joined today by my cousin Nate. Say hi, Nate.
Hi, how's it going, Internet?
And Nate is here because I wanted him to act as sort of an extension of the audience. Not for every episode, but for the beginning, and he'll pop in maybe a couple episodes later down the line. Just so that, he can tag along and ask questions, ask for clarification, and just bring another perspective. So hopefully that will be helpful to you as well. All right, so let's get started. First thing I want to go over is my setup so that you're not confused by some of these tracks here. I do have a track, I'm routing my mic through Ableton, so you can ignore this track, and then I'm also capturing all the audio in Ableton and exporting it to another program so that you can hear what I'm doing here. So I just wanted you to know what those two tracks are so you're not confused. Other than that, just to start with, I have a basic kick and a snare loaded in. First thing I like to do usually is create my drum beat, and the song that I'm working with is a slower tempo song than what I'll be creating, and then I'm going to be turning it into a drum and bass track. So let's go ahead and load up that song. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that. I thought I had the song in my stems folder, but I did not, so I had to go and find that. All right, so I'm just going to give you a little taste of what the song sounds like. I'm not going to make you listen to the whole song. If you want to hear it, I'm doing this for one of my buddies named Zanski, and he just came out with a new EP, and this is one of the songs on that, so you can go and listen to that on his SoundCloud. But here's just a little taste. All right, so you get a pretty good impression of what the rest of the song might sound like.
Is his SoundCloud his name?
Yes, just Zanski. If you type that into search, he'll come right up. And the rest of the song gets pretty bass heavy. And I'm going to be turning this into a drum and bass track. I believe this is either 110 or 120 right now. I'm going to be turning it into, I got 175 BPM right here. But before we do anything with the actual stems, I need to come up with a basic drum beat here to start off with. Now I just have a kick and a snare in here right now, and what I've done is I've loaded up my kick that I have into a drum rack, because what I like to do is write in a basic drum beat that I think I'm going to work with, and then I can use the drum rack to go back into my samples folder, and I can hot swap them out with different kicks while the pattern is already written. So that way I don't have to rewrite each time I want a new kick. And that way I can get a good idea of which one is the best for the pattern that I've written. And the reason that the snare is not in the drum rack is because this is actually one of the snares from the stems. I really want to use this if I can, because I think it'll keep the song sounding a little more similar to what it was. So I'm just going to show you what that sounds like right now. Right. And so I'm going to right now turn this into a more recognizable drum and bass beat.
So you just kind of build the skeleton of the song, and then you kind of add your own little sound to it. So you kind of build up on the pre-existing song, so it sounds a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'm doing right now basically is just, I'm starting off as basic as I can, because right now I have no idea what I want to do with the song.
Okay.
But the best thing you can always do is get your drums sounding good, and have that set up as the backbone of your track, so that when you add more stuff in, you're not constantly going back and tweaking your drums, because that happens a lot of the time.
It can slow down the creative process.
Exactly.
That's one of the things you have to be really careful with, I hear, in making music, is the fact that you don't slow down that creative juice. You have to find your own flow and go with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want to get too caught up in the production realm of things when you have inspiration.
With that in mind, though, would you recommend mixing at the end, or along as like you do as you go?
I think certain things need to be done as you go, because otherwise you're just going to be left with a jumbled mess, so to speak, when you finally complete your song. Things like basic EQs, like I have 100 hertz cut off from the snare. Generally, most tracks you're going to want to be cutting at around 100 hertz, because they don't really use that end of the spectrum. And so it just helps keep your low end tight as you go on.
Okay, so it's not just everywhere.
But more specific things you want to leave till the end, because you're not sure which instrument you want to have dominant in a certain area until everything is already written in, you know? Yeah. So it depends on what it is. But you'll see me do a lot of things as we go, and then I'll explain why I do that as well, so you're not just left wondering. All right, so now I have a basic drum beat written in. It's the basic cliche drum and bass pattern. And now that I have that written in, I can go into my kicks folder, my drums. And now I can listen to all the kicks that I have in this pattern and decide which one I want to use. And because of two reasons I'm not going to be doing this on camera. One is that you guys are not going to be able to hear these kicks if I click them in my browser. And two is I'm not entirely sure how long this is going to take, and I don't want to waste your time. So I'll restart the capture once I have a suitable kick in, and then I'll explain why I like the kick that I've chosen.